Restriction of range. That's the very last thing I want to talk about correlation. And this will be pretty short. Restriction of range has a negative impact on correlation. That is because correlation is a measure of how variables covary. And if we restrict the range, there's less variance. So there's less variance to explain. For example, GRE scores don't predict graduate GPA very well. So why do we use those to admit graduate students in a lot of programs? Well, let's take a look at what happens to correlation if everyone admitted has high GRE scores and everyone has high GPA. In fact, if we had everybody, GRE scores might be a pretty good predictor of graduate GPA. But those people have really low scores, we don't let them in. Let's look at our pre and post test as an example what happened. Now, remember from before that the correlation between the pre and post test was 0.6, right? Let's say we took a restricted range. Let's say we only took people who got 18 or higher on the pre-test and also got 18 or higher on the post-test. Let's see what the correlation is for those people. It's negative 0.22. So not only is it in the opposite direction, but it is significantly less than half of what the correlation is for our whole sample. Let's take a look at graphing those folks. We can insert scatter plot. And it doesn't look like a linear relationship, really. If anything, it might be a curvilinear relationship. But if we go back and we graph our whole sample, we do get a pretty clear linear relationship. So the whole point, and your textbook covers this as well, is when you restrict the range of a sample, you are likely to get, in almost every case, a substantially lower correlation than if you had the whole range. And that's the whole point about restriction of range. If you're asking yourself for your assignment that you have, do I have a restriction of range? Look at the data that you have. So you're looking at the number of people that someone says are in their family. Does everybody say 3 or 4 or 5? Because in that case, you do have restriction of range. Or does it go from 0 to 30 or 0 to 87? Again, and I know some of you pointed that out in your own data, like someone said 300 people were in their family, so they dropped that person. But an outlier can impact your correlation, and restriction of range can impact your correlation. Look at your data, see if they only said 3, 4, or 5 as the number of people in their family, then you have restriction of range. If it went from 0 to 25, then you don't.